What an epic way to start the show with the phone ringing and the whole intro thing happening behind the scenes. That's what you call in the DJ business one of the horse trampling mixes, where the beats don't match the whole mix, and people are trying to dance to all this thing. It's crazy.
The horse
Anyway,
mixes.
what's happening in your world? Well, this is another show. Tuesday night, we're doing Marketing Made Easy with me, Joey Ragona, and my good friend Scott Vogel, who is in the house as always. There he is. I'm seeing, man. You appear like magic. What's been happening, man?
Oh, just one of those days, bro, where you're just engaged with dream clients and pre-fluence. And when you truly plant the flag and draw the line and just start putting it out there, and the focus is on one thing and one thing only, dream clients start finding you and dream events start happening. And it's just an amazing day. It was one of those nonstops, on and on and on and on. And then I told you, my friend's back teaching and his brother's in town and girlfriend. So we got 3 new teachers and all kinds of like amazing energy today. And I just did class for the second time today because I don't get my buddy teaching a lot. So just like, all around amazing focus. You and I had an amazing brainstorming session the other day that was among some of the most powerful ideas we've talked about. It's like, hey, this was the best show we've ever had. This is the greatest thing we ever talked about. But, the more we talk about this each week, the deeper it becomes. And as I explore the whole atlas and you and different people and interact, and just the focus, it gets deeper and more intense. And no matter what, I was like, I'm leaving class at the end instantly. I'm jumping up, jumping into the shower and getting out because I need to be on this call. And it's the highlight of the waking time that I get on this calendar Tuesday thingy.
Love you, man. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking about today's show. I'm going like, what are we going to talk about? Because we don't make up our stuff until like last minute, and we've had so many great brainstorms in the last. Gee whiz, it feels like it's every day we're having downloads of brainstorms about these ideas. And by the way, welcome to the show. So if you are here, if you can give us a like or a thumbs up or a heart, smash the bell, whatever you're watching, and let us know that we're doing an okay job. Let us know you're here as well, because this is not a one-way conversation. It is a it's a conversation with everybody. It's not a dialogue just between Scott and I. And put hashtag live if you're live, or hashtag replay if you're watching the replay, because we do come back and answer all the questions and give you a like for liking the show. So that would be cool.
Don't forget to join the Heart-Centered Marketing Club if you haven't already. It's like one of the most incredible, loving, caring, heart-centered groups with people that support you. You can be yourself. You can be on any part of the journey, and you're not going to get throttled. You're not going to get sold. You're not going to get offers from anyone, anywhere. It's going to be the true definition of what a heart-centered community should be, led by our leader and tribe master, Joey Ragona.
Thanks. You're so epic, man. Thank you for the love and support and everything that you're doing in there. You're in there all the time as well. So it is a great community. I love it. I'm biased, of course, but the community is great. They show up here and support us. And so we want to support you. We just want to answer questions about marketing, copy, whatever it is to help your business move forward. And today I thought that we would talk about like the 3 lists that you need to actually make a compelling offer, or a really cool offer, an offer that works. So I've done my handy dandy little cards here that you liked before. So I'm going to use them again.
I love them.
But this time there's only 3, so that's cool. So
high tech. I love it.
the high tech presentation. Then what I'll do is I'll reveal the lists, and then we'll talk about the list, because I'm sure you have some input on every single one of them. The first list that you need is this one, which is what they need to believe. This is the first one. What do they need to believe? And then the second list, this one is, this one's going to be kind of counterintuitive, or maybe something we haven't talked about a lot, but I love this one, which is this one. Why they won't buy. Why they won't buy. And then the third one is something we always talk about, but we don't, I mean, I see a lot of people don't do this enough, which is this one. Talk about their current problems. So those are the three lists. Scott, which one do you want to jump into first?
Oh boy, I like the first one. What they need to believe.
Yeah, I figured you would.
Well, we had a conversation the other day which stemmed from. Can I reveal that word that we played with?
I don't even know what four words you're speaking about, but sure, why not?
The void.
Oh, the void. Yeah, 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 for sure. I'm glad you brought it up. Cool.
Yeah. So we had talked about the void, and the beauty of the void is it's where everybody is. And if we find the void and speak to the void, then we're talking about what they need to believe. And because it's already a void, they already believe it. We only have to speak that language of the void. And the example that it happened because I called you up as a dude friend, and I was having a relationship challenge emotion thing. And it was because there was a void that I've been manifesting that I wanted filled. And it was filled with what I manifested, only I longed for it, I yearned for it. You didn't have to sell me on it. You just had to say, here I am. And I was like, I'm in, I'll take it. And I was also willing to acquiesce to things I maybe normally wouldn't because it filled the void. But unfortunately, it didn't fully fill the void at the end, which meant I had to go to the beginning and start all over again to find the real bridge that would pull me out of the void for good and take me to the victory path, to the dream oasis. And that led to chain of beliefs is, what do they need to believe? And it kind of mixes together, but it's so important in the chain of beliefs is, and I like what you said, and it's on the whiteboard, they just have to believe that it's possible,
Yeah.
that they're willing to accept and believe that this could finally be the answer. So you go.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Is they have to at least be open to the idea of what they what they need to believe in order to get to the dream island, but at the same time, um, a lot of the in that context of like hitting the victory path because they're hitting the void and they don't
Yeah,
see the bridge, and then we build the bridge, but they still need belief to step onto the bridge. And so
right.
that's part of it. Like, what do they need to get to the bridge? But then at the same time, what do they need to actually get over it or take that first step onto that bridge and then walk all the way through to the dream island? So there's a whole like the chain of beliefs moves all the way through. So it's beginning of what's the chain of beliefs to get them to the point where they say, I'm ready to take a step. And then what do they need to believe throughout that journey on that bridge, which is basically your program, which is avoiding, yeah, avoiding the void. I don't know. So
The
you're
void,
overstepping the void of the
the,
problems. And the problems, go ahead.
the void vacuum, the
The
Vogel
void
void,
vacuum. Yeah. The
the
void
Vogel,
vortex. Something
the
like that.
Vogel void vacuum vortex.
There you go.
Where's Petra when you need her with
Yeah,
some more
TM
love?
it.
There we go. Boom, DM, go.
By the way, I just want to give a shout out to Veronica. Good to see you here. Thank you for being here.
And
Um, what
Joey,
I was going to say is about the problems, right? So the void usually, and I'm skipping to number 3, the list. Like, what are their current problems? And so a
wait.
lot of problems, a lot of marketers, or when they're talking about problems, they're talking about symptoms. They're not talking about the true problem, the specificity of the problem, and that's where we need to get to. Because if they've hit the void too many times, and let's face it, like everybody wants more money, more time, more freedom, and every program is about the same thing. So
Right.
if you're talking about that, yeah, they've heard it before, and you're talking to the want, and that's cool, but you're not talking to the specificity of the problem. And that's why number 3 is really important, like their current problems, because it relates to them only. And when you understand it and you talk to them in a way where they believe, or they not believe, they know that you understand them, they think that they're the only one with the problem, and now you're articulating the problem in a way that they've never heard it before, and they're like, this guy really knows what he's talking about.
And Joey, sparked an idea. Go figure, huh? What a shock. But I like what you said with the specificity, because I looked at another landing page, and landing page opt-in formula. I'm always looking at landing pages, hundreds, thousands of them. And what I want to warn anybody that's listening is the specificity. It can't be, are you tired of being stressed and frustrated, anxious and nervous about this? It's like, I could do that and find 800,000 websites with the exact same thing, instead of, are you sick and tired of buying course after course, only to go through it and nothing happens, only you've lost more money?
Right.
And they teach you are too hypey and don't resonate with you. And it's like, holy crap, you're talking right to me. Not are you frustrated and stressed out that you've spent money on things that don't work. It's that specificity. And that's why the dream client is so important. And a conversation we had the other day, which was powerful, was, the trilogy of forever. It was, you got a problem, I got the solution, and what's in between those? Me. But it went even deeper, was, look, you've got this specific problem. I can take you on the victory path to the oasis, and I'm going to use this superpower that I am so good at to do. And that's where it just, went another notch deeper, higher, to another level of really their current problem. And, then it goes back to number one. Well, in the chain of beliefs, the last piece is, Joey's the only dude that can teach you how to really do a cohort, dream client, dream business, dream life, and just, not have to stress and hypey and crap and funnels and deadline sequences. I sent you a post I saw today of some guy that wanted.
I know it's funny, right? It's funny. Like, it's just amazing how many times we see this kind of stuff. So,
and then basically, just to share, it was somebody like, I want to know how to create a dummy deadline sequence that when you click on the page, it counts down to 0, but does nothing. And its purpose was to trick the viewer into a false scarcity that didn't exist anyway. And I'm like, and then the post before it was, I just holy.
Look who I found, bro.
My lovely wife.
Look at this.
Fang, look at you on camera. Holy. Yeah, not a lot of times you're going to see me speechless, but.
Where were you going with that thought again, Scott?
What thought was that we were? I have no idea. And for those people watching, Nick Barrow is with Fang Barrow. Nick and I, Joey and I, have done this for 143 weeks in a row. Nick and I have been doing a life purpose for like 120 weeks in a row. And Friday, he was in the North America from the UK. I drove 3 hours to Southern Vermont to meet Nick, who then went to Connecticut and was driving to Toronto for his next part of his world tour as a world-class life purpose snooker champion coach. And I was like, wait, Joey's in Toronto. And he's like, I'm probably going to be too busy. But I hooked the two of them up and said, you guys, and holy wow.
Wow. Have you guys ever met?
No.
Wow.
No. We've never met in person. So, I mean, tell a little bit of your story, man. Introduce yourself get a little bit closer to the microphone here.
Okay. Should we put the camera up slightly?
Let's do that. Let's do that.
Oh,
is that cool?
Yeah. So thanks for inviting me, Joe.
Yeah.
Really
This is awesome, man.
It's just so cool. Look at all these books. Oh, I've just been so distracted by these books while you're talking. They're wonderful. And all these signs on the front, if we could show you a mirror, you'd see all sorts of inspirational messages on the wall behind the screen. It's terrific. But my name's Nick Barrow. We run with my wife the snooker gym. where we help frustrated amateurs beat their highest break or their highest score. If you don't know the lingo of snooker, which is like billiards that you have in North America. And we are on the last week of our North American tour, where we started on September the 18th. We've had one day off since, and I was saying to Joe before the call that it's been absolutely packed with double demand we thought we would have, and it's partly due to the Kajabi platform and our philosophy of giving first, nurturing slowly, without throttling, and just allowing them to grow like seeds in a pot, and pick and choose our offerings as and when they're ready.
Yeah, it's just amazing, and we got to give a huge shout out to Kajabi for this meeting. I mean, I wouldn't have met Scott without Kajabi, and these amazing humans that are here in my home. That first time we've met, like we've not known each other that long, but it's like my wife it's funny because my wife says, "So who are these people that are coming?" I say, "Well, they're coming from overseas and overseas, no, over the pond. What is it? Across the pond? Across the pond?
Over the pond.
Over the pond? Across the pond.
Across.
They're far away from me. They're far enough and away." And she says, "Have you met them before?" I said, "No, I haven't met them." She goes, "You're gonna let just people you've never met before in my house, in your house?" And I said, "These people are like friends. They're amazing." And that's because of the community of Kajabi, right? I mean, we feel, at least I do. I don't know. I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but I feel as though we've known each other for years already, right? And there's no, it's not like, oh my God, who are these people? Let's make sure that they go through a criminal check to make sure they get into my house. Nothing like that. So I want to thank Kajabi. I want to thank you, Scott, for connecting me with Nick and his wife. It is just amazing. So, and we're going to have an amazing conversation after this. And sorry you can't come to that one, Scott, but maybe we'll film part of that for you. Who knows?
And for when Nick and I met Friday the first time in 2.5 years, met in person, we went live into the Kajabi community and basically said the same thing. Kajabi is a great all-in-one platform. Kajabi helps us all make money. It's an amazingly supportive community. But at the end of the day, the lifelong friends. This isn't just, we're kind of business. We are close, dear friends. We know everything about each other. And to just be able to come across the pond, walk into somebody's home, it's because we are like-minded entrepreneurs. We're all doing the same thing. Nick was talking about offerings on, our terms, on serving, which again goes to the pillars we're talking about tonight. Again, what do they need to believe and why they won't buy? We haven't gone there yet, but their current problems. And Nick said right there in what he does is people that want to beat their highest break in this game of snooker. And Nick is a world champion, high performance coach, not only in snooker, but in life purpose and helping people to understand what their life purpose is. And again, we meet once a week to talk about life purpose and what are we doing to get closer to it and accountability. And we meet every Tuesday night to talk about all things amazing in marketing. Yeah. And so, what an incredibly magic couple of days to all of this. And I told you today, one guy I've never met before is here teaching. And so all these things and this energy because of Kajabi and yoga and cool stuff.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So should we get back to some of the show a little bit and see what Nick has to say? Because he's been listening in on these three problems or these three lists. And he just told me that he's going through PLF. And so I'd like to get a little bit of input on what Nick is learning on terms of marketing. And maybe you can ask some questions or maybe give some input.
By the way,
your brilliance.
Nick is also involved in a very high-end mastermind like you. Very, like same amount of money, pretty much high-end.
Yep.
So he, like all of us, we're all engaged with people that are taking us to the next level, always, and studying and learning. And it always goes back to we care and love each other because we're heart-centered, because we want to serve. So, Nick, what do you have to say about the three things that we're talking about this evening?
Well, what I picked up on was why they won't buy, that piqued my interest, because a couple of things came to my mind for why people won't buy snooker or billiards coaching. And that's okay, that's personal to me, but I think it's applicable to everyone watching, because everyone has a customer base who have reasons why they won't buy, solutions to solve their problems. So for me, what I've seen from when I was a player, when I decided not to see certain coaches, and why players I know chose not to see certain coaches, and why I think people have chosen not to see me, reading between their lines, are varied, but quite specific. So, for example, the core objection that a player has is, will this coach make my game worse? The first thing is, like investing in pension funds, most pension funds are geared not to make optimum profit, but to not lose money, because most people's primary concern is, I will not lose money in this investment. And in the same way, will I not lose? Can I be sure I won't lose performance by going to see this coach? So that needs to be assuaged. What's another reason people might not buy? That they don't feel proud to say they might feel ashamed to say they've been to see this particular coach. So that objection needs to be inoculated. What's another reason people might not buy?
Have you thought about using this in any of your marketing or anything like that?
Well, that's a pointed question, isn't it? Because probably not. This is live coaching.
Yeah, this is like this is not scripted. So putting people on the spot is one of my superpowers, and it's also a kryptonite. So they don't know when to shut up.
The third one is,
Nick, while you're thinking about that, and this is how this, obviously, Nick and I have gone live quite a few times, and the back and forth thing. And I like what you said was, because most times why they won't buy, people go to the objections. And Nick, what I like that you did was said, it was, if I do this, will it make me in a worse place than I already am? And that leads me to what I learned from Perry Belcher, which was, will it risk my status? Will I lose status? So let's say I invested $5,000 in the thing and it did nothing. And I had to go and tell somebody, yeah, I spent a lot of money on this thing that didn't work. That risks my level of status. And I'm looked at as, you're an idiot. And so that could be another offshoot of that. So either one of you go.
Yeah.
Well, the third thing is, will this save me 10x what I'm investing in terms of time wasted working it all out myself? So if they're not convinced of that it will give an astronomical return on what's a pretty decent amount of disposable income, then why should they go ahead?
Okay.
But a couple of people have said to me this week about booking sessions up in Toronto that, oh yeah, one chap tonight specifically said, well, yeah, I believe you could save me a huge amount of time, so it's definitely worth it.
See, so that's the first one. What do they need to believe, right? So what do they believe that this is going to be a 10x on their investment, right? And then saving time. And that's really what the two main things are, is it saving me time? Is it saving me money? That's really it. If we can get that across in a succinct way, then people are going to buy from us. But there are other beliefs. Like, what do you believe would be other beliefs beyond this is going to make me money and this is going to save me time? Is there anything else?
Yeah, is it going to be easy and effortless? Because there is a perception in snooker players that, if I start adjusting my technique, it's going to take me 6 months to relearn a new habit and I'll go back to zero, and all this psychology around you have to go 28 step backwards to go 29 forwards. That is a legitimate concern. And I think part of a coach's skill which is slightly off topic, is being able to judge how much information and intervention a student needs to optimize their experience. Because if someone's playing 30 hours a week and wants to be a professional, what I prescribe to them will be different to someone who's playing 2 hours a week.
Right.
And that's part of the skill in not dumping, vomiting 400 different solutions on somebody,
Right.
but cherry picking the 1 or 2 or 3 that they need more than the other 397.
Right. And this applies to everyone listening, by the way. Like, just because it's in one area that's not yours. This is what I love about my masterminds, and you probably, I'm assuming you're going to agree with me, is that you learn when there's other people in other industries, you learn from them. And I remember being in my first mastermind and listening to people who were in the fishing industry or whatever it was. I'm like, I'm not in the industry, and I would shut down. I wouldn't listen to what they were saying.
Yeah.
And Scott and I, we just had a powwow over the weekend about another industry that I said, wait a minute, there's a download here that I could apply to the online business world, right? And so that's what I mean is, if you're listening to this and you're saying, well, I don't teach billiards or snooker or whatever, then take what he's saying and maybe apply it to what you're doing in your business, because everyone in your business is doing the exact same thing, the same strategy. But take it from another industry and apply it and adapt it to yours, and then you can become the market leader very quickly. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think from the masterminds I've joined, and also PLF, you picked up on PLF, but particularly the mastermind I've joined, the exposure to ambitious people spilling their heart on their true concerns instead of the internet bravado. Look how easy everything is to make lots of money.
Right.
Which is the 1% top of the pyramid. The 99% is the dishonest stuff or indirectly not honest stuff that we don't reveal. Right.
Here's
seeing that is so powerful from a self-confidence point of view, but also being able to input. This chap. There was one woman who runs a dance studio, and she was having an issue dealing with the federation she was negotiating with for a joint venture, and she's saying, what profit should I give them? And I said, look, because I was head coach of the World Amateur Federation for 10 years and the English Federation for a number of years, and I said to her, they're not interested in profit, they're volunteers, that they don't have a profit mentality.
Right.
What can you give their members that would make them proud? That's their currency. And that to and fro gives me an opportunity to practice my coaching skills, but also I'm on the receiving end of advice from others as well. So it's a breeding ground, almost like an inverse prism, where everyone learns from each other.
Exactly
and gets better at their craft.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Here's an observation from the two of you. Nick, when you were talking about why they won't buy, will I lose performance? Will I have to go spend 28 hours to first take a step ahead? And it's interesting, Joey, because with Atlas, that's pretty much what it's about, is you're going to spend 3 months relearning everything. And so they kind of have to accept and believe that they're not going to beat their highest break tomorrow. They're not going to start making money overnight, that it's a process. So it's interesting because you, Joey, they need to believe that it's going to take a little time, at least 3 months, maybe 6-9 months. Where Nick, yours is probably more like, no, it's not going to. You're not going to have to. So the same concept applied in two different ways.
Yeah, I think it's important for me. That's when I look back at doing that as a marketing now, it's not. It has become a marketing piece, but it didn't start that way. We started out by telling the truth. Go figure, right? So, but now they need to believe that they're in one of two categories when they meet me, and that is they are either brand new and they're learning a lot of stuff and they've got overwhelmed, and like I'll just use that word as the overall thing. Like there's a lot of stuff coming at them and they're learning all these things and they're going down these rabbit holes, and then they're learning the simplicity, like, because Atlas is just about simplicity, right? And they're learning all the funnels and all the things that are coming at them. They're like, this can't be this simple. And then there's the other person who have already been through that and they've failed and it hasn't worked for them. And then they come in and like, let's just simplify this. They're the same. It's the same concept they have to learn, which is simplicity. But where they're coming from is different. But when they come into Atlas, the journey for most of them is going to be the same. It's probably not going to work for you in the first 3 months because you're either here, too much information, and you need to simplify and get rid of all that stuff, or you've been in this stuff and you've been through it, you have all this information already, it hasn't worked, and you might be just looking for the one nugget, but that's not going to work because we have to unlearn the stuff and rebuild. Right. So it's knowing, okay, why won't they buy? What do they need to believe in order for me to come? By the way, if you're just joining us, these are the 3 lists. It's what they need to believe to buy from you. And the second one is why won't they buy? Why they won't buy. And the third one is a list of their current problems, because that's what you want to talk about all the time. And then
thank you for being so high tech with all the fancy things and all of that. It really helps to cement the funnel.
Stream Deck's for.
Yeah, there's a little thing over here. These buttons I'm pressing over here. You can tell I'm all like fancy studio here because we have one little microphone we're shouting into. This guy standing. I'd have different cameras and all this other stuff hooked up, but no, man, we're doing it ghetto style. This is the way to do it.
So, Nick, as far as your people in the snooker gym, in the snooker world, what do they need to believe in order for them to decide that they want to engage with you?
I would say they need to believe that the game is in their blood. This is my avatar. They need to believe that the game is in their blood. And if it's in their blood and they're addicted to it for life, then they're trapped and they have no way out but to get out of these bars, get out from behind these bars. And what's the code to get out from these bars of frustration, get out from behind these bars of frustration? So they need to believe it's in their blood for life. They need not to deny that they're in frustration. They need to admit that they have the frustration and that a way out is possible and viable for them and reasonable for them.
He's, you just said something really interesting.
He did? Oh my God.
No, I just want to, it just sparked a question for me, which is, you said they need to believe that it's in their blood.
Yeah.
And that relates to me, the desire, the burning desire, the natural desire that's in us, right? So can you speak to that a bit about that, why they need to believe that? Or do you speak to that level to say, you know what, this is part of who you are, and then you're bringing it out, and you're just tapping into the natural desire, or you're not convincing them that it's part of them?
No, in fact, I want to disqualify people who don't have it in their blood.
Okay.
Because then the significant investment required isn't, I'm not really a match for that person. Then I know other people who are a match for them, who just are very occasional players who want to get a bit better. I don't really cater to that market. But somebody who is addicted to the game is who I can relate to, and whose love for the game is slightly more than their frustration.
Okay.
Because then they're trapped. If their frustration is greater than their love, they quit.
Do they know? Okay, so this is what I'm trying to get at to help everyone listening, because we talk about desire a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that we can't instill a behavior into someone. They already have to have it.
Yeah.
Do you believe that?
Do I?
Yes. In your experience with these people.
Sometimes they don't know, and sometimes I have to qualify for it. So, for example, somebody signed up to my 1-year program recently, and he was humming and hawing. He was saying, I'm not really sure the game's for me and whether I want to commit to it. I have a business, a family. I'm frustrated by it, the politics in the local league. And I got on a Zoom call with him, and we fleshed it out. And I actually gave him a life purpose questionnaire as well to find out where the game fits into his life, because he wasn't sure. And we concluded, yes, let's go ahead. Unusually, he then said a few months later, he said, you know what? The politics has got worse. My business has got busier. It's not right. Can I have a refund? I have a no refund policy.
Right.
But that's really to set a condition, and very, very few people ask because I qualify well. And we gave him a a commensurate refund percentage on what he'd used,
Okay.
which was a bit. How we came up with it was it would be a bit painful for us and a bit painful for him, and somewhere in the middle we came up with something that was a little bit fair to both and a little bit unfair to both, and it worked out okay. But by and large, I'm pretty good at qualifying people in my messaging that they need to know the game's in their blood. And because not everybody does, they need a little bit of convincing either way.
Well, you're uncovering them, right? You're saying, did you know that this is part of it's in your blood? Basically, is where I'm trying to get to.
Yes, and
you're not convincing me that I want to play it, and then you're saying this is going to become
I'm
part.
trying
of
to find out if
it is
want to,
right?
And that's part of the pre-qualification questionnaire. So we have a player profile that people complete before I'll engage. Not before I'll engage with them, but that gets to me, and then I can. If someone just writes one-word answers in each box,
Exactly.
I'll give them a one-word reply,
right,
and point them to a sales page on my website. Otherwise, for a product. But if they give paragraphs on every answer, I know they have a pain, and that how it's not what they answer, it's more how they answer the profile. And if it's with depth and passion, they're using emotional words, then I know I have someone here who has a problem and who is an animal suffering on the ground who needs help to get up and fix their legs so they can go running again.
Yeah, that's a great analogy, and that's what I'm talking about. There is the desire, and then what you just described. And again, this is for everyone listening. I just want to point this out. What Nick just described in terms of the answering the questions is the love letter. We call it the love letter. When somebody sends you a love letter, you ask like one or two questions or a couple of questions, and they write a whole story for all the questions, right? You know, you've got someone who is passionate about the game or passionate about what they want to do. And you may have to uncover to say, did you know that this was actually part of, it's in your blood? I'm just using language because I have no idea. But that's what you're having. You want that conversation with that person who is passionate about the game, correct? And then you're qualifying to say, is this a person that I can work with? Because they're not going to give up on my technique or me or themselves.
Yes,
Joey,
and sorry.
Go
ahead, Scott.
Thank you.
He's been waiting for
a referee here. So Nick, I would like to kind of be on topic but off topic. Go figure. Hard to believe. You came to North America for your get the damn ball in the pocket world tour, and you had
actually what we called it, Joey. Get the ball in the damn pocket. North American tour.
Get lost.
Yeah, it was. That was the marketing material, because my ideal customer will chuckle at that. They'll think, yeah, that is actually what I want to do. And here's a guy with a bit of sense of humor.
That is so cool.
Who doesn't take himself too seriously.
Actually, when we were talking about it a couple of months ago, it wasn't the damn hole. It was a little something different. But we won't go there because we're on live TV. But we can curse if we want, but we don't. Here's what I'd like to do. It may be on topic, off topic, but since we never have a topic anyway, who cares? So, Nick, when you planned this, world tour, and you had set up that you were going to do some group coaching in snooker halls and a bunch of people, and you go train them, and you were going to make a certain number of days, people, and money that would, as you like to say, wash your face and make it worth your time. Then you did something even different, and you started making some higher end offers as you were here. And it was very successful is becoming more successful. And I would like you to talk to that, because you sold them something. They paid you money. Then they showed up and you made them an offer substantially more. And a bunch of them decided to do that. So I'm curious to know about what went on there and why did they do it as a learning lesson for people? Because again, we know there's only 3 ways to grow a business: bring in more customers, get them to come back more often, and increase the size of the sale. And so you did number 3, and we haven't talked about it yet. So I'm just curious, because it might have to do with what they need to believe, why they won't buy, and their current problem that they paid you to show up. but then they're decided to pay you even more for a higher level. So if you could go.
I'll very briefly talk about the Ascension model for this North American tour, which started with a commitment to attend a weekend training at a club in Seattle. And it was a reason that we went 60-40 on the revenue share for the tickets, with 8 people per day maximum. So there was built-in scarcity. And I built in the number of days on the tour to be a little bit less than I thought I could sell, best case. A bit like Ferrari, if they think they can sell 800 cars, they will put in their marketing that they have 799 for sale. And that's historic in their marketing campaigns, and historically consistent. So we started with this group training, $300. And then that ascended to, if you've attended that course, you qualify to purchase a 3-hour session, which is 650 Canadian dollars. And then those who attend that qualify for that amount that they've paid off the annual program, which is, let's call that 4,000 or 5,000 Canadian. And that is effectively the Ascension. And what's come out of this trip is that 2 or 3 of the individuals would like to be coaches as well. So we're formalizing a entry-level coach certification program. But these players who started the group training, they created the interest and the concentration of demand where I thought, yeah, X number of them will pay for one-to-one training. And then when people see me doing that in the club with all the camera equipment and the video analysis and all the suitcase full of tools we brought over, then others will say, hey, hang on, can I have 3 hours as well? And so we filled out the schedule in that way.
Cool. Joey, there's so much there that I wanted him to share, because, and I like what you said, Nick, was, first of all, the gift, I'm sure you recognized in there, Joey, was, you buy this and I'll give you a gift towards the thing of what you just paid, and
Right.
the gift was the next thing. And I like what you said, Nick, was they had to qualify in order to. It wasn't like whack-a-mole. I need to get 7,000 people into the funnel. It's like, if you qualify to this. And so, Joey, you want to comment on anything there?
I mean, what I'm hearing throughout this whole funnel thing, or whatever you want to call your model, is that their qualification is really important, right? From day one. I think that, am I right about that? Or
yes, for example, in the group training, part of my, let's go back to UK personal development seminars, where I've seen guests of course promoters who come on and batter the audience with run to the back of the room because the first person who buys gets 99% off this $1 million offer. It's only $10,000,
right?
And they're running over themselves, which would make the health and safety executive go nuts and have kittens. And it's, to me, I'd be uncomfortable inviting someone like that on my stage. Similarly, I try to respect the club members, because how I market and the Ascension model to them reflects on the club owner. So I don't want to do anything that would make the club owner uncomfortable. So it's more an invitation. Look, and I joked about it on before, and I make sure I illustrate the offer before lunch so they can speak to me over lunch if need be. And I said, right, guys, here's my hard sell offer for the next 30 seconds. Anyone who does the 3-hour training, I've got 6 spaces available this week. You're the priority. Anyone who's interested to learn more and embellish what I've already sent you in the pre-course study materials, come and see me at lunchtime. So just making fun of the hard sell to relieve their pressure
All the time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that. I mean, because I when I'm on a sale, if it's a sales call, I actually it's not even a sales call, but when somebody will ask me what's Atlas about or something like this, and I will immediately go to that. Okay, let me just put my sales hat on for a second here and get into this because this is not what this whole thing is about. But they're asking for it, so I'm giving them what they're looking for. But that's not the intention of my calls. But what I'm asking really is about the client, about the dream clients, about who you're bringing in. So you're qualifying people to get into your specific program because in this is how I look at this in terms of my tribe is that I want to protect the tribe as much as possible with anybody coming into the tribe because there's a huge trust factor of why they've this is it comes back to all this like what do they need to believe and why won't they buy? They won't buy because they've been duped by all these coaches and
Mhm.
been sold the big promises and all that kind of stuff. And then when I come in and say to them, look, this is a safe community and I'm going to get you to where you want to go. And I know that every other coach has told you the same thing, but let me prove it to you. And then when they're in the community and they see that, and it is a protected environment and they can be vulnerable and all these other things, to me, the front end is the most crucial piece of it for me. Is like I don't want anybody in here. I want to make sure that they do qualify, that they have to jump through all the hoops in order to get in here. Because if I bring in hundreds of people, tens of thousands of people, it's going to disrupt the dynamics of
Mm.
the tribe.
One thing to add to that
Yeah.
is I've been in a mastermind before where they actually stopped serving naught to 50,000 or $50,000. In other words, beginner uh, businesses, or in other words, people who had read on the internet that you can be on a laptop on a beach and cash avalanches every week.
Right.
And then they think, oh, let's start a business now. What's it going to be in? Let's go online and see what gets the most money.
Right.
And then they enroll in a mastermind, and because they want to, but they're not there for the right reasons. They don't have the obsession, and they don't realize how hard it is, and the gap of their knowledge gaps. That they're not familiar with that, and so this mastermind stopped taking those people on because they weren't getting results, because they didn't actually want to be in a business. Their current problem was knowing, do I want to be in a business of my own or not? And most of them didn't. It wasn't their biggest problem wasn't finding their avatar. They weren't even at that level yet.
Got you.
You know what I heard there is, I loved it. They don't have the obsession. That's an interesting gate qualifier. Are you obsessed? You know, it's kind of might go into my immutable laws. I say, will you show up and will you do the assignments? It might be, will you become obsessed with this? So thank you, Nick, for that. And by the way, I need a picture of a group hug of the three of you so that when Joey and I get our hug and this hug and that hug.
Hang on, what about a full-way hug?
Yeah.
Where a screenshot of Scotty and us three, something like that?
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, because when you first came on, I said, okay, Joey, how did you do that? What was the trick?
Stream Deck.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Joey.
He's still not here. He's a hologram.
No, he's somewhere else. He's
in London.
He's in London. He didn't really come here. The States.
Well, you know what, Scott, because you were I want to come back to this because we're going to bring us on and we'll do the whole hug thing. But what you just talked about, like the obsession thing, is there's three whatever qualifiers to dream clients. One, to get people is that there are a lot of them. And anybody listening, if you're listening to this, there are a lot of them. Two is that I use the word irrationally passionate about their thing, right? Which is kind of the same thing as obsession. Like if I'm going to take up golf and I'm irrationally passionate, I'm just going to go buy everything about golf.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the magazines and all this kind of stuff. So that irrationally passionate is like they're going to do anything and everything to learn the thing that they want to learn or solve the problem.
Can I interject there for
Go ahead.
1 second?
Definitely.
Ideal case study, my student in Boston, Brooklyn, Boston, over the weekend. He booked me in for 2 days. He's been my annual student for a few years now. He has bought I saw on his shelves virtually every single training aid and book I've ever seen online, physical and digital, and seen virtually every coach you can see. He's got in his basement one pool table of one brand, and in his living room upstairs another table of another brand, so that if he goes to a tournament that uses that table, he can practice on that.
Oh my God, that's irrationally passionate.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
I would like to, I'm going to jump in here because I want to make a point here that you were just talking about, Nick, was you have an annual member. He's paying you X dollars a year. He then decided he would book you for 2 days to pay you even more money. And again, I'm not just saying to, just keep making money and money and money. But again, it goes to what we've talked about, Joey, is, okay, they're in your tribe. They're in your experience, in the journey. They've paid you for this so that they can pay you more money and get closer to you and spend more time with you. And I like hearing what you're saying. Go.
Sorry, we interrupted your three elements.
Number three is what did I say? There's a lot of them. Well, yeah, so it's a lot of them. Then there is irrationally passionate, and number three is easy to find. Easy to find.
Easy to find. Well, it's easy for them to find you.
Well, yes, easy for them to find you.
Yeah, but easy to find them so that they can find you. How's that?
Yeah, so you have to. That's part of prefluence. Like, where are you in front of them? If there's just a little core, 5 or 6 of them, that's not going to help you at all. So where are they? Because that's a big question I get a lot. Is like, where do I find them? Right? Where are these people? So you have to understand how to get in front of them, and then allow them through. If you're following what we're talking about in 142 episodes, whatever it is, about prefluence, just giving and serving, then they self-select themselves in order to call you and say, I want to talk to you a little bit more about what you have for me.
Well, it's all the little breadcrumbs, the benefit breadcrumbs, and the prefluence
breadcrumbs.
we're constantly launching out there. I shared with you earlier that because of my dream client, who I'm about to launch her program on Kajabi, I reached out to the Kajabi yogi community. There's a group of Kajabi yogis. And I was like, look, I'm about to do this thing and I'm looking for any advice or thoughts because I built multiple brands with Kajabi, but I've never built a yoga brand with Kajabi. And I'm that. Any suggestions, thoughts? And it was just no ulterior motive. It was all just to help my dream client. And somebody responded and we went back and forth. And then she shared her site and her walkthrough and her VSL. And I was like, holy crap. And I found out that the theme she used was from Penny, who I know, and she used this and that. And I made some comments and suggestions on this. And of course, I looked at her offers and realized they need to be redone, but that wasn't it. And it's just, I was helping my dream client. And then I was helping her by making some suggestions. And then out of nowhere, she goes, I just wish I didn't have to work so hard. Ding, 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 ding. I'm like, and I jokingly, just in teasing, said, so what if you could truly have a dream business with dream clients and live a dream life and not have to? And I said, he. And then she was like, wait, are you telling me that you could help people, my teachers that I train, to get online? And I was like, yeah. But again, it was just, I went out to help help my client. And what comes of it is, and I don't know what that'll turn into, but a conversation this morning turned into, what if I was able to develop a Kajabi yogi in a box that I could take what I do and just fill in the blank, upload your video to that. So all of these things, why? Because as Nick was the flag. Joey was draw the line in the sand. So by the way, just so you know, Nick was always, if you plant the flag, then people can follow along. And I took Nick's flag planting and had to draw the line in the sand for Joey. The planting and the flag and the line. And it's only been, Joey, as you know, a couple of months, not even, that I said that. And all of a sudden now that's all I want to talk about. And I went in to help my dream client and somebody said, I could send all my teachers to you. And so there's going to be a conversation of, I'm thinking of maybe just taking 5 of your teachers and doing a program. What do you think?
Well, you see how fast that happened for you, Scott? Like just by
Right.
defining who your niche is and then talking just to those people, they have found you, and then it's just starting to to ramp up for you, right? People are going to start talking about you and see he's the guy that does this for yoga teachers on
Exactly.
Kajabi or whatever, if that's going to be the
Yeah.
thing.
Right. But again, just there's so many different places we're going here with this that stem from and for hello, Veronica loves this. Lorna said hi.
We love you
Everybody,
too, Veronica.
Nikki B. Nikki loves you too. Yeah, for those of you that are just joining, if you hit the hashtag live, if you're watching live, hashtag replay, we'll answer all your questions. Nikki B is visiting from the UK with his wife Fang. They're on the Get the Damn Ball and the whole tour for his snooker gym. Joey is Joey and is always Joey. And it's amazing that we get to talk about this stuff, and all three of us truly believe in we serve, we build a tribe, we
Definitely.
serve. And
Yeah.
then
Even just offline before Nick interrupted us through this show, we were talking about serving, and because we, about the whole throttling thing or getting people on the list, and people expecting for them to buy, or your customers to buy from you right away. And so you're right, Scott. Like, we all have this mindset of whenever you're ready, it's cool. We'll be waiting for you. We're here. Let me just give you some more stuff. Let me answer your questions. Let me serve you. And that's what I
Joey,
really love about what we're talking about.
one of the attendees of my landing page opt-in formula that I did a couple of months ago, basically, she emailed me and she's like, I got a list of 100 and some odd people, but people aren't opening. I said, good, clean it, get rid of them.
Yeah.
And she goes, and then she emailed me, she goes, I got my list down to 12 people and I sent out a tip. 12 people opened my email. I was like, that's amazing now that you have 12 people. Then you'll have 13, 14, 18 instead of I'm going to email out to my list of 7,000 and 10 people are going to open. And then I go do my metrics and my KPIs and this, and I'm only getting a this. And it's like you say, you get a 78% conversion rate on your selling. Why?
Yeah.
Because of it's in to begin with. And Nick, do you have anything to say about anything at this point?
Just a very brief point there to embellish what you'd said, Joe, about serving and our conversation, our mentality about give free stuff, let them subscribe to a free group that's a bit more personalized, don't batter them, give input to the group, let them flourish like little peas in a pod or little seeds in a flower pot. And I remember about 6-7 years ago, I had a coach who I knew who we were chatting for some reason, and he called me and we were just talking on the phone. I was just walking into the club to do a training, and he was saying, oh, we should get together and we should do some work together. And I said, well, what have you got in mind? Oh, well, I don't know. We should just get together because you're really good on videos and everything. And I said, I said, oh yeah, have you seen my YouTube channel? And I was about to say, because that channel over the last 6 years or whatever it was, had probably been responsible for £250,000 sterling in turnover, just giving out free stuff, because I became preeminent in my field. But it wasn't to become preeminent. It was, my dream always was to help people on the path of frustration behind me with some sprinkles of joy and frustration pills, anti-frustration pills, and
love that,
and help them to solve their issues. I know that if they can solve that and they know I'm a trusted source, they'll come for more. But it's not a cynical ploy to get money.
Right.
I was about to say that to him, and he said, oh, I wouldn't give anything free on YouTube. I wouldn't give out any free content. No way. And the next thing I heard, he wound up in jail for he wound up in jail for illegally importing immigrants into the UK in the back of lorries.
Oh Man,
I'm going to jump on something here, Nick. Not he went to
one
jail.
sec. We just want to give a shout out to Nick. Who is that? Can you see who's that
Yeah,
on the other
that's
side?
Lorna. Hi,
Lorna.
Nick. That's Lorna Scott. Say
Very
hi to
cool.
Lorna. Nikki.
Yeah, look who visited me, Lorna. They popped in. I heard her knock at the door. I'm like, who is this?
Because here was how this happened too, Joey. Again, and when you and I were talking the other day, and I was telling you how my magical just high of being with Nick and Fang and the whole experience and everything and how it happened and the goof and the thing we played and this and that. And I was like, they just go to Connecticut, they just go to Toronto, and you're like, well, I'm in Toronto. And then I messaged him and said, Joey's in Toronto. He says, I don't know, we're real busy. I don't know that. And I just left it at that, and then poof. So again, just synchronicity and just such incredible thing. I like what you said, Nick, there too, was they know I am a trusted source. And that's what your Prefluence has done is I trust this guy. That's, what we talk about. I talk about, the flirt and the cup of tea. You talk about the gift extender. We each have a different language. But what happens if you give something and change their world and say, I trust this guy already. Joey, you hear it all the time. You're not a scumbag. No.
Right. It's true.
That is one
in some sense of the word. That's what people say to me. You're not a scumbag.
Well, and that's because let's go back to 1, 2, 3. That's what they believe. They have come to believe that, like Nick said, sit on the beach and this, and cash just flows in. Those are the cheesy, just throttle scumbags, and we're not it.
And I want to pick up on what you said, and I want to hear your thoughts on this, because we talked about Prefluence. When did we do that? Last show or whatever it was, a couple shows ago. And just a word I made up of Prefluence, right? And so I think we brainstormed on the call about what it was that we came up with.
Prefluence is a monologue.
Yeah, like what is really Prefluence? And to me, Prefluence is the what is it? The monologue. The Prefluence is the monologue. It's me giving stuff out. There's no conversation between you and I. You're just watching whatever it is or reading my stuff. And it's just a monologue. It's me giving you stuff. Prefluence, right? So then let's say that you get on a call with me. There's a dialogue there, which I believe is influence. So I can influence you, not to sell, not the hard sell, not any of that kind of stuff, but I'm influencing you to move ahead into wherever it is, like to my Facebook group or maybe even to a sale. What are your thoughts on that? I just like to know from you what you think about that philosophy.
I remember when I was head coach of the Emirates snooker team for 7 years, and it was such an easy life. And that's actually where I learned to create products, to write books, to make videos, to operate computer editing systems, build software suites, audio recording kit, do interviews, because I had 60 days a year holiday, and 30 years a day were off because of Ramadan, and it was I had so much time, and everything was paid for. I only had to pay for phone and food. That was it. And I came back to the UK when that had reached the end of its natural course, and it was the right time to do my own thing, run my own business. I'd done my apprenticeship. I came back home. Oh my God, I've got to sell. I've got to do accounting. I've got to pay the mortgage. Oh my God, it took me 3 years and I hated selling. Oh, I'd do this if all I did was have appointments booked up. But I'm not a salesman and I shouldn't have to do selling. And through necessity, I became better at following up elegantly. And I didn't have a clue how to do it in the first instance. And then I've done other sales trainings before. And what I learned is that I prefer to err on less pushy than being on the other side of that line. So if someone's really hesitant, I'll hang back. And there are languaging you can use and to help them reach. What I'm trying to do is help them reach a certain decision, yes or no. I'm not trying to sell them.
Yeah,
I'm trying to assist their decision to get to total certainty. Am I for you or not? And you've got to do it in your own style. And for some people, that is getting an answer right now. And if
Exactly.
you're congruent doing that, that is okay. My style is a bit more easygoing. And if it's getting a bit awkward, okay, let's pull back. And they'll come back if they want to.
So and I totally agree with that. Do you agree with that? And I'm just trying to get your brilliance here because I'm trying to flush this out for myself so I can teach it to other people so they understand what prefluence really is. Do you agree with that? That it would be this is just a monologue between the marketer and there's nothing coming back. And then the influence piece of it is anything that you have a dialogue with that person. And what I mean by influence is not the fact that it's not a sales call. It's any kind of dialogue that you have. You're influencing that person because of the prefluence that they've watched you and like you and become the trusted authority.
Would the metaphor be, would an example of that be someone watching a YouTube video and then crossing the threshold to make a comment, which receives an answer? Is that
That's a really great example too, because that
Like-
becomes a dialogue between
Hmm.
you and the person commenting,
Yeah.
correct? And now you're now in an influencing process.
Yeah. You have used the prefluence of the video, of the value, of the helping, learning, serving. And I also, Nick, liked what you said, following up elegantly. I really like the sound of that. And then it becomes a comment. So it does go into the influence part because your monologue has accomplished its purpose to get them something that they're like, huh, let me ask a question, let me go deeper. Then it turns into, the first part is kind of passive, even though we're doing it. And then the influence part is the active part.
So
Go
it's
either
not to
way.
get them to do something, it's to uncover if they have a question in their head that they want, that they need answered, and
That's
to
interesting
draw
point, right?
out of that person their question, their query, their doubt, their frustration.
Yeah, it's more of getting in front of it's basically my word for preeminence and all these other things, right? It's like what is it that you're doing for the audience that has you can't communicate with the audience at this point. It's pre-influence, it's pre-conversation, pre-anything. Whereas whether you get on a stage and do your presentation and have a sale at the end, or you don't do a sale, and it's you're in that environment, it's part of prefluence because you're speaking to the audience, and then only when you get off the stage and they come to speak to you, that's part of influence. Whether they buy from you there or they don't, they just go and watch you on YouTube or go to your Facebook page, sign up for your email, that kind of thing. They're in the influencing process because it's a dialogue between you two. So it's before any dialogue happens.
Before interaction.
Yeah, that's before any interaction.
Interaction is interactive. It's almost the same word, isn't it? Where it then becomes a journey to help somebody learn more and clarify their problem, and perhaps clarify whether they believe they need a solution.
Right. Right.
And Nick,
The first step in that journey of 1,000 yards. Yeah.
Because a lot of times, I was heavily into persuasion and influence,
Yeah.
right? Like I studied it heavily, and I'm like, and that was the question all the time on people's minds. We're like, how do I persuade and influence somebody to buy? And that's cool. And there are pushy persuasions, there are pushy interactions and all that. But then I'm like, okay, what happens before that? Is there a stage before before influence? And we could argue, I'm just making up words here and just making up ideas, but it's like we could argue that everything is influence, right? If you watch a video and it's still a dialogue, I'm still being influenced by your knowledge, your personality, all that thing. Like we could argue that.
one of the things that I took from what you said, Nick, that I really like was, what if I was able to craft my prefluence benefit breadcrumbs to get them to ask me a question? I like what you said there, and it sparked that is, what if in developing some of my YouTube videos or lives, I'd be like, I'd love them to ask this question that I can answer. So, it is a little NLP / manipulation, only though for getting them to ask a question that I know that maybe they'll become obsessed. So
I'm not comfortable with the word manipulation in one respect, that actually you putting that in front of somebody gives them the opportunity to save time by knowing instantly this might be my solution that I need. Anyone who doesn't see it has got polarized glasses that doesn't see that comment because it doesn't apply to them. But the person who sees it and thinks this is the answer to my problem, that actually serves them by giving them a very quick route to solve their problem, so they have more time for the rest of their life.
well said, Mr. Barrow. Well said.
what a great way to finish up the show here, man. This has been epic. You want to get this group thingy happening?
Yeah, we need a group thingy. I got
All right, let me get the right pose here, or the right how can we do this?
This is a hug for Jody.
Oh,
Jody
look at this.
Peeble.
Look at this. This is epic.
Wait.
You got it? Did you take a screenshot?
1 second. Hold on. I'm not, you guys are the tech geeks.
Well, we're trying to smile here. We can't hold it forever, you know.
I'll clip it out on the video when we go back to the video.
Here we go. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay.
That is epic.
That is wow.
Well, what do you think, man?
Thank you.
Get back over here, man. This is Nick Barrow, man, all the way from, where are you from? Tell everybody where you're from.
Milton Keynes, an hour north of London in England, and spreading the snooker gospel.
And his wife Fang, come on up. Where are you from?
Thailand. No, but I live in England.
Oh, that's right.
She colored her hair to be the color of the
The
autumnal
maple
hues,
leaves.
Aren't they beautiful?
Yes.
and some of them are exactly this color.
I was
even our
telling
tree in the
someone-
back is the same color, exactly the same.
We should have seen
wicked.
it earlier.
So
I
wicked.
was telling someone we took a picture Friday. Nick took a picture of Fang in front of a tree in autumn here that was the same color as her hair. It was just what magic that this whole what we do it gets us to, because really at the end of the day, Nick, it's about the golden moments and the golden relationships in life that bring bliss, joy, and happiness. And by you doing what you did and just showing up brought me even more bliss, joy, and happiness. And now, because of what happened and how we met, and because of Aunt Hodges and how Nick and I met, and now it's because that you guys met. And so it just keeps developing and spiraling and morphing into this amazing stuff. Forget about the money and the this. God, forever we have all of this. So I want to thank you both. Nick, that was just like truly incredible.
Glad we made your day, my friend.
You did again.
We are another Tuesday night. Thank you for being here live, #live if you are watching live with us, or #replay, and we will come back and answer any of the questions, or thank you for the comments that you're putting into the chat. We love you. Thank you for being here and supporting us for 142 episodes already. Man, it's getting on. We're getting to that 150th, man. When does that, you're the math dude. When does 150 happen?
Well, obviously in 8 weeks, and 8 weeks from 10 is December.
Christmas.
I don't even know that.
Right around Christmas will be at 150, which means 3 years straight.
Man, oh man.
We haven't missed a Tuesday night in 140 some odd.
Wow.
Nothing has gotten in the way. And
Amazing.
that's truly amazing and epic. And again, that this kind of inspired Nikki and I to meet every week. We don't go live. We started going live, but it was just more of that and, masterminding and life purposing and just getting on with cool people and giving people what we just talked about tonight. What if we gave them this, if they said, holy cow, this is amazing.
Yeah. Love you, man. Well, I'll see you probably sometime in the near future. Thank you for being here, Nick. Thank you, my friend.
Love all of you.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for the
It was
invite.
great to see you,
We
to
really
have you here.
appreciate it.
This was amazing. We're gonna have to go. We're gonna go have a bite of something.
Go, you guys go do your thing now.
Do this continue this conversation, because I ain't gonna let this guy go.
Oh, no.
And we will see you next Tuesday night here for another episode. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Who will pop in at that point?
Who knows? We started a thing.
We'll see you soon, man.